We have an overstory of pine snags and stumps with an underlying texture. All we need is a young lodgepole pine understory, and the pine burn ecosystem is finished. Go down to the Ecosystem Editor, Foliage page, and select the understory ecotype. Add ecotype. Turn the Settings tab, change the absolute size to foliage group, and absolute density to foliage group. Leave the area units at hectare. Add foliage group, and name it lodgepole pine. Set the group maximum height to 8 meters, minimum height to 5 meters, group density 200 stems per hectare. Add foliage object. Choose New Image Object from the drop-down list. Make your way to your Components folder under WCS and open Image, Foliage, Conifer. If you select a file and tap your L key, that will jump to the L's because we're looking for lodgepole 11, 12, and 13. So 11, IFF 24, Control-click 12, 13, and open. VNS will create image objects for the additional foliage images added. Save the project and render a preview. We now have young lodgepole pine filling in the understory of our ecosystem, so let's go ahead and save the pine burn ecosystem as a component. In the Ecosystem Editor, choose the Save Component button. Image for thumbnail, find your way to your WCS Frames folder and load the last render ping. In the comments section, add something appropriate. In my case, I put in that this was Madison Canyon, Yellowstone National Park, regrowth forest 10 years after major fire, overstory of 10 to 30 meter pine snags, and 1 to 2 meter stumps, understory of 5 to 8 meter young lodgepole pines. I think that about covers it. Save disk and close. Move to the grassland ecosystem. We had disabled its understory to speed up rendering during ecosystem setup. Go ahead and select it and enable. Save the project and render a preview. The foreground grassland foliage rendered slowly until it got to a certain point and then sped up. The understory has distance dissolve enabled, which causes foliage objects to be replaced by texture when the foliage renders at less than a dissolve height of 4 pixels. This is a render-saving option to keep VNS from rendering every stem of foliage as far as the camera can see, which can take quite a long time for a field of grass. When rendered foliage objects drop below a height of 4 pixels, dissolve color is rendered in place of the images. Select the Dissolve Color Texture Operations and edit texture. The texture is fractal noise with 2 shades of grassy green. The grassland ecosystem was designed for close views, so a complex dissolve texture wasn't created. We just happen to have a dissolve texture that is more appropriate for the scene. Go ahead and load component. The component gallery, look for Grassland Dissolve. Double-click to load it. Close the texture editor. Reduce the dissolve height to 2 pixels. Keep in mind that a dissolve height in pixels will cause the dissolve to occur at different places in the view depending on the size of the rendered image. If you want the dissolve distance to be consistent between images of different sizes, use relative to image height. Save the project and render a preview.